Hello everyone again. It's time to do another top 10 of characters. Maybe I'll delay a little bit doing something like a tier list because we had many updates recently that haven't been properly tested. But I think the top 10 hasn't really changed too much. At number 10 we have Hal. Hal is the only character in the list that I don't own, but I rent him every week as a mercenary. He's awesome. I really like his ultimate where it can focus a target down, in contrast with someone like Wonder Woman that does a massive area effect damage that does a similar amount of damage and has also tons of stunning, but it's always spread apart for five characters in main stages, or maybe four in some system recovery, I think. Hal has the advantage that you can use him in situations like team-ups where there's only two characters, or like something like Evilly Falls, which I haven't tried him there, or some system recovery where you might need like clearing something in 6 turns or 5. His ultimate can be very, very nice for that. He's a very big damage dealer that can clip off some enemies even against like a block team. If he hits enough the back row, he can overcome the protection that someone like Blue Beetle does. Very, very strong, especially pairing up with Mr. Terrific Sim Synergy at rank 10. He has more survivability and he puts out more damage. Very, very strong. Maybe you need to build more of a team around him than other characters. Maybe he's a little bit more situational. He can also be used in the dampen week for league challenges, and there he can be very strong, but league challenge 2 he's a superpower damage dealer against the side that requires physical damage, so he doesn't get too much play there. At number 9 we have Zatanna. Zatanna is staying in the arena meta even if originally a crit team was replaced by a block crit hybrid. She and Wonder Woman made the cut, and now there might be a transition period for some people, especially after they build Terrific at rank 10, which we're gonna talk about, where you can replace a block crit hybrid with some sort of Justice Gang hybrid, but Zatanna still makes the team because of her badge 30, which is probably the first you should prioritize on any character to bring it to level 30. Zatanna is very, very strong. The first 2 castings of her advanced attack, that she does turn 1, increase progress of the action bar of all allies by 20%. This even counters directly Flash, which Flash play is that he's the fastest character in the game. He goes first, knocks back the action bar of the opponents. C, if you have the Philosopher's Stone on her, which is only for support, so Flash can't have his own and counter that, gives a speed 5 or 10%, and you can also have speed gear on her. She gains 5.9% speed bonus from that, so she ends up going first, and she gives 20% action bar to everyone on her team. That means even a lot slower characters will go everyone pretty much before the opponents. You will do enough basics or advanced attacks that you can use your first ultimate, which can be something like a Wonder Woman that hits everyone and has a chance of stunning. So you may be stun or even silence if you have a lasso at tier 5 or rank 5 on her, which applies silence, or in some situations like Green Arrow's team synergy. In any case, you go first, you control the opponents. She gives everyone he gives everyone on her team frantic, so they crit more often, but also the first 2 attack power allies that it's extremely rare that you are gonna rely on 3 characters to put out a lot of damage. Usually you rely on either 1 or 2. So she covers that you gives them 5 stacks of frantic, 50% crit chance, which can really almost guarantee a crit for many characters if you have some crit on their kits, or not on the kits, on their kits as well, but also like Wonder Woman does. And here you can have a 2 pieces of crit gives already 15% crit. This is the second status crit. This is the third status crit. You can go very close to 100% of a crit. It's not too difficult to do. So you start with an attack that will do 50% more damage if it crits. Plus, many people have in their badges that work with crit, having their badges, like even Constantine that don't have crit as the main, they have 32.4% or maybe less if there are badges 15, which is still nice, 19.1% crit damage. If you have Wonder Woman with them, there's another 20% crit damage for all allies. So she makes your team put out more damage, and because of the frantic, she gives them life steal that helps them survive. So you go first, do a lot of damage. Then you have extra sustain because of her. She does a little bit of damage by herself. She puts out armor break that say for the whole match. She dispels buffs, which is very nice. She dispels buffs with her basic. So she kinda monitors the battlefield a little bit and help your team do more, especially offensively, but also defensively. Like with sustain, she can make the cut with many teams. Doesn't need to be Wonder Woman. You can have 2 other DPS that are putting out a lot of damage that may have a crit damage ideally in their emblem. At number 8 we have Pandora. Pandora is an awesome character that does a lot of spread apart healing, in contrast with Kid Flash that does many single target healing that he can stay behind, especially against someone like the Sat in League Challenge 2. Kid's Flash, a 1-person heal aren't cutting it, while Pandora's ultimate heals 6 different times, 8 if you have her buds at the 20, which is not hard to do. So every time of the 8, it looks which your teammate that has the least HP currently, percentage of HP, then heal them. So you maybe have her in a team like Block, which is very common, where you might have a DPS like Constantine low, she heals him, then Ocean Master is low, she heals him, then the 2 tanks are missing a little bit of health, she heals them, so she heals her whole team. But a little bit of a negative on her is that she doesn't heal herself. To some degree, with her advanced attack, she can put a shield on herself and stay alive and keep healing. But when she does her ultimate, she actually sacrifices her HP, so she loses HP, she doesn't gain. But the caveat with that is like buds at 30. She gains lifesteal that some situations may exceed the 20% sacrifice she does, and she may actually drain more than she originally was. Very, very important to have her at League Challenge 2, even if you are not doing the shield bracket that she now got the tag, so that's awesome. You can use more characters there. I use her on my team here, where at single target, have her 4th in the ultimate order, so she doesn't sacrifice her HP too quickly. It's enough for you to stay alive, and you also have the shelters from Peacemaker and front row, especially Nightwing tanking, so she heals everyone up so you can stay alive for the whole match. She doesn't do too much damage, her basic is physical damage, so that helps a tiny bit with the damage in total, but her ultimate is a superpower and her advance doesn't do damage, so she helps. The way her healing works is ideal for the SAT, because the SAT hits your team every few turns. He does a not this one. This one, Ricochet definitely is like a... no, it's this one actually. It's a fires laser beam. Probably this one, where if it ricochets like a third time, it means it hits 4 people, and then you heal everyone back up. It just hits the main tank that Pandora again can heal. Maybe it wasn't super clear with how I showed the kit, but the way it plays out, the SAD does like an area of effect attack that everyone in your team will stay at like 40% HP or even like 20. And Pandora, if Pandora is 4th in the ultimate order, it usually is enough for her to heal every few turns before the SAD gets to do an area of effect attack twice. Also, she has a team synergy that may get some play now with Sacrifice. I'm still testing that. It's not too bad, but it's not overpowered by my testing so far. It can definitely get some play, and it's nice to have an extra shield and cleansing debuffs. She's also required one of the 3 weeks in the 3rd league challenge, where it's not open now. I'm gonna show it with 7 Wolf, where you need to have at least 2 sacrifice characters, and if you have a team synergy, it gives a tiny stat boost to your whole team. It's not the 90% that it states, it's more like 3%. So usually it's best to use Sinestro team synergy still, because you put out more debuffs and more damage per debuff, so you end up doing better than that. But some people may use hers. Her healing is nice, it deals superpower damage with her ultimate, which contributes a little bit with the damage for this week. I very much like Pandora. She may get some play in the Evil Falls against how's it called? Like the Evil Firestorm against him, against Deathstroke. Yeah, she can get some play there. She can work very nice with Constantine on the block team. You can fit her into other teams. She's a very nice healer, and when you need 3 teams here, it's very important to have 2 healers, not just Kid Flash. And late game, if you have a lot of investment into her, she actually surpasses Kid Flash. Kid Flash is not on the list. He kind of falls off late game. And Pandora, in contrast with Kid Flash, also does a medium amount of damage. Kid Flash does very negligible damage, almost 0. Number 7, we have Superman DCU. I'm very much tempted to use this on him, but there is a season where Red Hood still gets 100% more stats, so I kinda rely on him to have a functional team that's probably gonna get replaced next season of Elite Arena, or at least very likely. Then Superman DCU is an awesome character that is very tanky, works as a tank even though he has the DPS. I mostly use him as a tank and for his tanking abilities and not for his damage he puts out, but he helps a little bit with the damage, and he's a very specific character that with his ultimate it hits many times and puts out detonations, can clip off or at least do a lot of damage to a very beefy tank, even like Nightwing. His basic also deals more damage to tanks, which is nice. And he puts out dampens, which is very strong, that makes you put out more superpower damage. So that's the reason many people are using him, including me, in almost every comp in the third league challenge, because he stays in the front row, he doesn't die too quickly, he may stay alive for the whole match because also he's invulnerable, he puts out dampen, you put out more superpower damage because of that, he puts out debuffs, Sinestro gets a reduced ultimate cost and stacks of power of fear, whatever this is called, so he puts out or even more damage by them. Really like him in main stages, use him for a very, very long time in a debuff comp, so he's the second, or the main tank, because he's invulnerable, he actually stays alive longer, and second tank is Grodd. He works in there because he puts out enough debuffs and he stays alive long enough until you get the control of the match. Because of his invulnerable, it's very, very strong. Now with him at rank 10, he also becomes main arena viable, and even at rank 8, he can be very strong there. As I said, his invulnerable mechanic is awesome, and he's a very nice tank because of that. That's the reason I don't have speed gear on him, although I'm a little bit considering it, because with terrific sim synergy at rank 10, here where every turn he cleanses debuffs from himself, trigger every time a debuff is completely cleansed, even though it doesn't stay cleansed from Mr. Terrific, that heals 20% of their missing health. And I'm even like thinking that because it's clears one stack of a random debuff for every time, so I think this counts as multiple instances of clearing debuffs, and you may have 40 or 60% healing for your whole team. So maybe this happening a little bit more often would be nice. At the same time, may happen too quickly and you don't have enough debuffs on you in some situations. I really like him with invulnerable, potentially absorbing one more, like a Batman ultimate, for example. That would be awesome. So the opponents waste an attack like this, and or even like a Sinestro ultimate that otherwise would do massive damage to the back row if your whole front row dies, but Superman DSU stays alive because of invulnerable. Very much like the character, he's kind of balanced in the sense that he's tanky and deals damage. He's not like a massive damage dealer, but he has the specific that he can do a lot of damage to a tank specifically, and you can use his ultimate later in the match. They can kill someone. Also works with burn, can activate Superboy Sim Synergy if you want to play around with that. He's a tank that doesn't have the tank tag, so very, very nice to have him with Mrs. Terrific Synergy. And number 6, we have the Ocean Master. Ocean Master is a character with a great sim synergy at rank 10, which heals everyone in her team a little bit every time your team blocks. It also increases their attack. It's one of the best sim synergies of the game. Maybe at rank 10, Terrific is actually better because it's kind of broken and it heals more than it states. But it's definitely up there, one of the best sim synergies in the game. For a very, very long time, they were the arena meta. They're extremely strong in Elite Arena. That many people don't know how to counter them. He's an interesting support that gives passively more block chance and block amount to his teammates. So then they are doing less. They are getting less damage. He counterattacks every time one of his teammates block, not when he blocks. So a bit less reason for him to have block on him. I still have, because it triggers the healing and the attack that you gain faster on your team, the attack stat. But every time your teammates block, he counterattacks. He has a chance of counterattacking more than once. He puts out weaken for 3 turns, so you stack a lot of weaken on the opponents, because after the second turn they already have some weakens and he counterattacks more. And then his ultimate turns the weakens into bleeds that can be up to 3 turns. I usually think it's almost always like 2 turns. I don't know if it's broken or I don't count the turns correctly. But let's say it's 3 turns, it's 20% damage. If the opponent has 15 stacks of weaken, it's times 15. So you go already 300% damage for 3 turns for possibly many people on the opponent's team, even everyone. In some situations, if he has his ultimate like 3rd or 4th, it's kind of the sweet spot. I usually have him 4th because he puts out, he doesn't spam his ultimate too much, because if you use it too quickly, it just puts a stack of weaken, it's very weak. But if he puts out many bleeds, it can deal a lot of damage and also counter any shields because they aren't applied, or if the bleeds are applied when the opponents already have shields, any bleed damage passes through. That's basically the bleed mechanic, how it interacts with shields. So, and all his counterattacks add up as damage and the bleeds he puts out. So he protects his teammates and slowly heals them. He does a little bit of damage. Usually don't rely on him being the main healer or the main damage dealer. Usually with a block team you have one healer and one damage dealer extra in the team, and you have as a second healer and damage dealer Ocean Master pretty much. More so passively than he does many counterattacks. Also weakens remove the attack that you do and block break, so you will block more and the opponents will do less damage. So pretty much then his healing sometimes outweighs the damage the opponents do, and when they hit you, you just heal. And this synergizes very well with the way, especially Nightwing, but also Blue Beetle work. I'm gonna talk about them later. So here's later. Nightwing is number 5 on the list. His mechanic where he blocks and he deals a lot of superpower damage passively is very strong, so the opponents actually lose life when they hit him. He has a massive blocked stance that many people have this artifact on him that increases his block by more. His ultimate gives him first summoned, so he blocks more. His block amount, you need to have him very quickly, at least at patch 15. So you have 19.1, but 25 is also something to rush. 32.4% is very, very strong. He might be the second badge priority, but only up to 25, not to 30. 30 doesn't really... if you aren't spending money on upgrading badges, you don't really have enough to play around and to do many characters, and then we just stop at 25. Doesn't give him a massive boost like it does with Zatanna, but from 20 to 25, I know many people ignore that. The stat that they gain on the 3rd and 4th stat, damage reduction, block amount, is awesome, especially on Nightwing. It makes him a beast, and he's basically the best tank, straight tank in the game by far. He's like double, 100% better than the second best straight tank in the game. Most tanks are tanks slash support and work very nice as a second tank, not as the first tank. Very few characters work as a very are great as a main tank. I use Superman DCU, but after a few turns where it's invulnerable passes, if you don't have action bar reduction with a block, he doesn't really work great there. Maybe with the sustain from team synergy for terrific, if you have him at rank 10, he can survive a little bit longer there. Maybe you have something like a Pandora or Zatanna that help even more with the sustain. So I would classify like as main tanks Groot, because he gains a lot of damage reduction for the first 3 turns, but even then he's very reliable. Bride is one of the few main tanks, but her kit is not very interesting and doesn't fit in many teams beside crit. They gave a small buff now to creature commandos. I faced against them in Elite Arena. they haven't done anything great, but at least they're better now to potentially use. And I really like her reviving with 70% HP. That's very nice, but she's not on the list by any stretch of the imagination. And she's a low priority on to rank up legendaries. Number 4, we have Mr. Terrific. Mr. Terrific is awesome, especially when you have the synergy at level 3, him at rank 10. It unlocks the part where it heals, it's kinda broken, it heals too much, which is very, very strong. They buffed him by fixing his ultimate, where if the opponents are dead, it sends the debuffs back to other opponents that are still alive. So he's stronger now by putting out more debuffs to the opponents and cleansing his teammates. The damage that he puts out every one of his attacks, ultimate or basic, makes some DPS on your team that are big superpower damage dealers, like Hal, like Constantine, like Sinestro, like Ivy, Superboy even, deal more damage. Is very, very nice to have him and can put out very big scores, bigger than any other week in the week with dampen as a requirement for the third league challenge, because there you need superpower damage and he amplifies that. He also helps with the sustain, very, very strong, very, very nice to have. His direction makes him a candidate for the front row, so usually use them like this always, even before having him at rank 10, that now you even have a lot more sustain on the team. You have him as a main tank and you have a Superman DCU as the second, because he also has one turn of invulnerable as a security blanket. He's kinda liable to be clipped off, he's kinda squishy, that's why I kinda like using Raven with them to have a potentially revive and keep going with cleanses and heals and whatever. He also helps a little bit with the damage, very nice character, but they're not necessarily higher on the list because the utility and how they work as a team is a little bit balanced between them. So Terrific does some things, Superman DCU does some other things, and you need to have a different character like Hal to put out a lot of damage, or like Ivy, or like Constantine. So you have many characters contributing their own things, and using each character individually wouldn't necessarily be game breaking. They just have a very nice synergy together. His team synergy is awesome, of course, Mr. Terrific, but if you don't use him with a survivable DPS that put out a lot of superpower damage, and have one extra cleanse on the team that triggers this more often, like you do with Superman DCU, it's kinda meh, they're kinda squishy. He seems synergy at level 2, giving the extra superpower damage, and lifesteal and defense is nice, but it's not great, it's not awesome, is not game changing. He needs to be at rank 10 for him to be arena viable, to be a lot stronger in elite arena. You can do a lot of things in main stages, in convergence crisis. He's great in many game modes. Many people even use him as a second league challenge, even though he's superpower damage dealers. At least he helps with the sustain, is my understanding. Haven't tested that, but he also has the debuff tag for that at least. At number 3, we have Deathstroke. I don't have any artifact on him because usually I'm primarily using him. It's kind of funny thinking that at rank 9 he's still small, but he kind of is. He's great only at rank 10, and this placement is only for rank 10 Deathstroke. If he's at rank 9, he's not even on the list, and if he's at rank 8, he's nice and worth mentioning, but that's it. He's at rank 7, he's unusable, and he's trash, and he's D tier, and so we need to say that Deathstroke is not great unless you have a very big investment into him. I don't even know if you need his what degree you need his bats at rank 30 to get more out of him. You need a great artifact on him. Many people use Chaos Crystal that help him survive more and put out more damage. This is very nice and works very nice with his mechanic because he only does damage by basics and he gets a lot of action bar by himself. This allows him to deal more turns and deal 35 more damage basics. That's awesome. I use this for a long time on him because it helps him with the lifesteal and the extra mechanic here. That's kinda double-edged sword, but it helps him survive more and it's very nice, especially when I didn't have this maxed out and he only was getting 50% action bar and triggered once. I preferred having this on him, and this can get played by other characters. This isn't really great on many characters. It's more of a negative thing and you just use it for stats primarily. So he's awesome because he does a lot of single target damage quickly. You can use him in the second League Challenge, but Batman overshadows him there to some degree and he's better and easier to get. Deathstroke is awesome working something like Mage Sages or even like something like a Villain's system, not system recovery, Convergence Crisis, the one where it's, let me show this one here, with the villains, the Keystone City. He does a lot of single target by himself and he's basically like a team by himself. He has some lifesteal. You can have him survive more either by that, but preferably by that, by getting more lifesteal from him. So he takes many turns, deals a lot of damage, deals a lot of bleeds, chops shields, so he counters that even alone. Spreads his damage apart because it hits not only the target in front of him, the tank, but also some adjacents. It's a random who he hits, so he puts out bleeds on the team and primarily on one tank. I use him usually in the position where he hits one person and you have Sinestro and Raven hitting one person, the two of them, so you spread the damage apart, and when you use Sinestro's ultimate, it's a balance damage on the front row, so you will clear it quicker. Sometimes if there's like someone like a penguin that has more stats on a specific position, or legs that shields especially, or like a Phantom Stranger or a Captain Cold would be awesome. I use him against those characters, and if it's like a minion, I don't have him hit the minion, so it's not always prioritizing putting him in the second position. It's also going against the opponent with the highest HP and against the opponent that's sealed, because as I said, he puts out many bleeds and the bleeds will stop shields from working altogether. He takes many turns and his ultimate cost is very cheap, especially at rank 10 when it goes to 1, so you can start the match both using Deathstroke's ultimate and Grodd's ultimate, so you knock back their action bar, you deal damage on them, you put out many debuffs, so he goes very fast, gives you ultimate energy because he does many basics that count for that, and he gains a lot of action bar and has a chance of doing like a extra basic. So he puts out many bleeds, this counts as debuffs, as I said, working with Sinestro amazingly. It's very nice to have two big damage dealers there, you can really work with that. You can kind of throw him into any team. Many people, for example, use him with block, because he, at rank 10, he has very nice sustain by himself, by draining. He deals a lot of damage, he can even like, in a mirror match like that, maybe quickly like do a lot of damage to the opponent's rank. If he's at rank 8 and he try to do that, he will just get counterattack to death because he's also kind of squishy. You need to have him big to be awesome. You can also use him in stuff like especially when you need like physical damage or stuff like Evil Falls, because usually it's one person, so he excels in that. Especially Owlman is his where you need to have Deathstroke, and even a small Deathstroke is usable at least against Owlman. As I said, League Challenge 2 can be nice. He's not awesome in Elite Arena and in PvP. Some people use him even in main arena with block. It's not terrible, but if he's not at rank 10, he's bad at Elite Arena. Even at rank 9, he's not usable there. Rank 8, he's kinda bad. But he's does so much damage by himself. You don't need to build a team around him. That can help you out in many situations, like system recovery. Can be very, very nice to have a big Deathstroke. But as I said, if he's not at rank 9, no, not rank 10, sorry, he's not that great. Having one cost ultimate is very game changing. At number 2, I have put Sinestro. Sinestro, usually I have better gear on him. At the moment I have it on Ivy. I have a video about that, but I'm building gear specifically for her to have on Sinestro, because at the moment I'm not using Sinestro in Elite Arena and he's not like game changing there, but he can be very nice to have. Sinestro is awesome against the third league challenge. His playground there, he deals massive damage. So here's an example of that. He does a lot of damage. He also carries pretty much a team in main stages. Can debuff is an awesome team there. Some people might argue it's even the best. I usually have a very strong hybrid of block, so then you have debuff being very reliable against my third team. Also, kinda need to have some characters with them. Like if you have a Deathstroke at rank 10, maybe they can be extremely strong against the first team in main stages, but a version of Deathstroke with rank 8 or rank 9 maybe are a bit more relegated for the second team, but you also change them around. For whatever reason, block may not work against the first team, and the control debuffs provide, because debuffs works a lot with the fear mechanic that many people in the team knock back action bar, and Sinestro gains action bar. When he puts out fear, his ultimate, when you have him at rank 8, costs 1 less when you put out debuff 6 different times on the team, so then you can use his ultimate and deal more damage. Yeah, it's a slow playing team to some degree, where you put out many debuffs, control them, and then knock back their action bar to infinity, because Grodd also does that to a very high degree with his ultimate also. Raven also does that. Also, a reason he's that high is many people are using him. You can use him in second league challenge, I guess, but many people are using him in many different evil falls. Like even here, if you see replays that aren't from bots, Sinestro is a very common team to be used. Even here at Ultraman, where it's like area of effect, you see many Sinestro comps. Zony Quick, of course, being Sinestro can help you like put out bring Sinestro pretty much like brought me from like 21 to 30 almost immediately, at least, or 23, 24 to 30 almost immediately. He's basically mandatory here against Sonic Quick, but as I said, like in many comps people are using them that aren't hacking, that they needs to be addressed more. Like powering, you will see Sinestros has a lot of value in the game, and a little bit of a problem, and can help you push both like the Fawcett City here as a blue character, and the villain especially. There's not many great super villain characters that do damage, and if you don't have a big Deathstroke or Sinestro, you can struggle with that. What I don't particularly like is he's not used in system recovery too much because his playstyle is a little bit slow, that you build up a lot of debuffs on the opponents and knock back their action bar a lot, and you control them that way rather than quick area of effect damage on everyone and kill them. But still, and usually have Sinestro. Many people are using Chaos Crystal, usually have this, but at least you take advantage of the second hit of the ultimate, gaining 15% or 25% more damage amplification, because I use the Chaos Crystal on other cards that have more important teams. So people are using Sinestro in the main arena. He's very common in Elite Arena, but he's not like great or game changing. As I said, I'm not using him there at the moment at all, but it's also season that superpower damage dealers gain some small debuffs. That number one, we have Wonder Woman. After that, we're gonna have some honorable mentions. Many people are arguing. I have a whole video about it. I'm not gonna talk too much about Wonder Woman currently. I have a whole video about the new meta and if Wonder Woman is still the first character. Many people are arguing that if you have everyone at the same like emblem level and gear investment and stuff, and the artifacts on them and the same rank, then Wonder Woman is not the best character in the game. I'm still using her everywhere pretty much, and she's, or at many important game modes, and she's awesome. She's game changing. She's the best legendary to have at the beginning of the game. She's kinda losing her spot both in main arena, where she's getting replaced, and in Elite Arena to some degree. At least the crit team is not surviving. I'm pretty sure Wonder Woman will find the spot, maybe hybridize with block. That's the next thing I want to test with that. So if you want to learn more about Wonder Woman, I have a very long video that explains that, if she's the best character or not. I kinda get the argument that okay, she's not as dominant anymore and she's closer to not being the first character in the game, but then you have characters like Deathstroke, Sinestro, Hal or whatever that are good on their lane but aren't necessarily outshining her everywhere. They're outshining her in specific scenarios, and if you want to have one character that's awesome everywhere, it's Wonder Woman. She's not still better than everyone everywhere. If you can use different characters in Evil Falls, different characters in some main stages scenarios, which I still love Wonder Woman there, different characters in main arena, different characters in Elite Arena, to have characters doing stuff that Wonder Woman does better, but it's not one character. It's like 5 or 10 different characters for different stuff. Wonder Woman is still a big area of effect damage dealer that also does a lot of controlling effects. So I would still argue she's still number one, but she used to be number one twice as better as the second. Then the buffed block. She became like 50% second better than the second. Now you can argue she's not best anymore if you have a very, very balanced endgame roster. That I would consider myself like at least top 50 player, if not like top 30, and I'm not there yet. So maybe for very big wells, and I would question that. It's how you're looking at it. Is a character that's great everywhere, but you can use in many places now other characters, not one character particular, to do the things she does better. is no longer the best because of that. I'll let that to you to decide. Honorable mentions, Raven is an awesome character, amazing in League Challenge 3, activates Sinestro everywhere, her revive is awesome. As I said, I'm using her to counter block now, have a video on that. Very, very important character, barely didn't make the list. I know many people like Peacemaker, I also love Peacemaker, he's a great character, he helps in League Challenge 2, he helps you do more physical damage. He has like some anti-crit in his kit, he has more stats at the moment at the Elite Arena season. He definitely gets a lot of play even in main stages, but he's not like game-changing, he's a little bit of a support tank that's very strong, one of the best tanks in the game, but I wouldn't necessarily say he's one of the top best characters in the game, although he's very considerable and a character to invest in. Blue Beetle didn't make the list as a top 10 this time around because, well, what he does, he's protect against crit and he protects his back row, but I found a way to bypass that using Ivy that does a lot of superpower damage on the back row and can kill an opponent's Ocean Master, so I kinda found a counter for that. That I have a video on. Still awesome, still great. Not as important anymore to just counter crit to be a great tank. Definitely has like a very great niche situation there where he made block countering crit. He protects the back row and against crit in general, so you can use him in some situations like system recovery, where you have, for example, a Bane that deals a lot of damage with his ultimate and can kill your back row, and maybe if you have a Blue Beetle or Peacemaker that also puts out shelter, you can protect the back row that way. He's nice to have like as a red character in Converge's Crisis, a mighty character even without his block team, but he's not like great. Besides that, he's a blocker, he's the second best blocker after Nightwing and a beefy tank by himself, so he can help Ocean Master going, and to some degree, okay, having a bigger Blue Beetle protects you and makes you win more in Arena, and if you're still using him there, that I'm planning to replace when I have some characters big enough. And in Elite Arena, makes you hold up more, and he's nice, definitely bringing him from 7 to 8, made him arena viable, made him very strong in Elite Arena, made him my block team be used as my first main stages team instead of second that they used to be. He's definitely a great character to invest in. That's the next legendary that I'm gonna bring to rank 10, like a few more days so I can buy it, but he's not top 10 by my estimation now. Then you have Constantine. I relied on this guy a lot for a very big part of the game. I still do, but I removed one of the best artifacts of him, had Chaos Crystal for a long time. Still have him in Elite Arena with block, still have him in main stage with block if I can afford to. Sometimes I need to throw Wonder Woman in there if I face against a very big team and that does a lot of damage on the back row. Wonder Woman is beefier. But if you have Hal, he kinda does what Constantine does, but better. He doesn't sacrifice his teammates' HP. This can be kinda liable if you go especially in PvP, but also in PvE, where if your opponents deal a lot of damage on you and have levels on you, the 15% sacrifice that he does is a big liability that can be the difference of you surviving and then taking the control of the match and killing them. But if you have this 15% less, you die. So his kit is his double-edged sword. He's very strong, especially if you don't have all the legendaries. He can be used with Justice Gang if you don't have Hal, absolutely, but people that have Hal usually don't use Constantine a lot in the game. I love Constantine, had him on the list for a very long time, but I also recognize there's kind of better DPS on the game and he deserves a mention. He's great, but not top 10 anymore. Quick mention to Guy. This Guy card is the League Challenge 1, does a lot of damage. Like, look at these guys. I have a big Ivy, I have a big Robin, I have a very nice gear on them. He's also the main tank of the team, if you notice. So if you have him at least rank 8, so he can gain artifacts and his artifact on him. So here, the Kronos Power Gauntlet. This one at rank 3 gives you 10% more damage amplification for every time you apply a shield. This is exponential and will not stop, will go to thousands% of extra damage amplification. So he's awesome there, deserves a mention, and people that bring him his badge to 30 say he also makes him like Elite Arena and main stages viable. Otherwise, his main use is just League Challenge 1, and bringing his badge to 25 didn't really change too much. I would say to people either stop him at 20 or bring him to 30. That maybe is what I'm gonna do now, because it will help eventually make him usable in other places. But from 2025, very, very minimal change that wasn't worth it for me. And I'm gonna mention Ivy because some people might ask, because I use her now to counter block both in main arena and elite arena, and she's awesome there. Using her League Challenge 1, but she's not really great in a player versus environment. Maybe this is gonna change because of the new poison team and she's gonna get more play there. Very hopeful about that. So she's an awesome character in PvP at the moment that may become better in other game modes with the introduction of the new poison team. We'll have to wait and see. That's it, guys, for now. Bye.